8 years have passed since the night my husband Tom uncovered my betrayal. It was a discovery that shattered our lives, though it hadn't come as a sudden shock to him. The late nights at the office, the unexpected business trips, the growing emotional distance between us, it had all painted a picture he could no longer ignore. But nothing could have prepared me for the pain in his eyes when he finally confronted me with the truth. The affair hadn't been a grand romance. It was a series of reckless choices made during a difficult phase in our marriage. I had worked at the company for 5 years, and David, my boss, was charismatic, accomplished, and seemed to understand my frustrations in ways Tom hadn't. What began as casual conversations quickly escalated into something far more dangerous. I knew it was wrong, but the secrecy held a thrill I convinced myself was worth the risk. I was wrong. That night, Tom found emails, explicit, undeniable proof of my infidelity. There was no way to deny it, nor did I try. The pain, the anger, the devastation on his face. It was too much to bear. He left without a word and didn't return for 2 days. Those were the longest days of my life. When he finally did come back, it was only to gather his things and leave again, this time for good. The following months passed in a blur. I took a leave of absence from work, unable to face David or the whispers that followed me through the office. The thought of pretending everything was normal was unbearable. Tom filed for divorce swiftly, and I didn't fight it. There was no undoing what had been done. I packed up my life and moved into a small apartment across town, a place where no one knew me, and for the first time in a long time, I found solace in my anonymity. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. We had no children, which made the legal process simpler, but the emotional weight was overwhelming. Our families have been intertwined for years, and the fallout reached far beyond just the two of us. Friends took sides, while others distanced themselves entirely. The loneliness was suffocating, but I knew I had no one to blame but myself. Eventually, I resigned from my job. The stares, the hushed conversations, the judgment, it was more than I could handle. I found work at a smaller firm where no one knew my past, hoping for a fresh start. But even with a new job and a new routine, the regret never truly faded. I buried myself in work, trying to outrun the emptiness left in the wake of my mistakes. Over the years, I tried to rebuild my life. Therapy helped me understand the deeper issues that had led me to make such destructive choices. The affair wasn't just about David. It was about the years of unresolved problems in my marriage. Instead of confronting them, I had chosen the easy way out, searching for validation in the wrong places. I had to accept that my lack of communication with Tom, my unwillingness to work through our struggles together, had been just as responsible for our downfall as my betrayal itself. Meanwhile, Tom had moved on. From what I heard through mutual friends, he started dating about a year after the divorce. Eventually, he met someone serious, a woman named Emily. She was nothing like me, kind, stable, genuine. I heard they were happy together, and though it stung, I was relieved he had found someone who could offer him the security and love I had failed to provide. 3 years after our divorce, I ran into Tom at a mutual friend's wedding. It was the first time we had seen each other since our lives had unraveled. We exchanged polite greetings, but the chasm between us was undeniable. There was still a shadow of pain in his eyes, and the guilt I had tried so hard to suppress came rushing back. I didn't know if he would ever forgive me, or if I even deserved it. Forgiving myself felt impossible. But as time went on, I remained committed to therapy and slowly began to rebuild my life. I joined a support group for individuals who had been affected by infidelity, both those who had been betrayed and those who had been unfaithful. Listening to their stories was an eye-opening experience, helping me understand the far-reaching consequences of my actions. I came to realize that the affair had not only devastated Tom, but had also deeply wounded me. It had altered my perception of myself and my self-worth, forcing me to confront the person I had become. By the 5th year after the divorce, I had finally reached a place of acceptance. A friend from my new job, and I took a leap of faith and started a small business together. Something I had always dreamed of but never dared to pursue. For the first time in years, I felt like I was creating something meaningful again. It didn't erase the past, nor did it replace the life I had lost, but it signified a fresh start, a chance to move forward. Around this time, I learned that Tom was engaged to Emily. When I came across their engagement photos on social media, I felt a wave of mixed emotions. A part of me was genuinely happy for him. He deserved love and happiness. But another part of me mourned the life I had destroyed. If I had been stronger, more honest, and less selfish, perhaps things could have turned out differently. Now, 8 years have passed since that fateful night. Tom and Emily are married, and they recently welcomed their first child. When I heard the news, I sent a simple congratulatory card, wishing them all the best. I never expected a response, yet a few weeks later, Tom reached out. He thanked me for the kind gesture and asked if I would be open to meeting for coffee. He made it clear that it wasn't about rekindling the past, but about finding closure. Seeing him again felt both familiar and distant, like meeting an old friend whose life had diverged so far from mine. We spoke openly about where we had ended up, how much we had changed. Tom admitted that while the affair had devastated him, he had come to understand that our marriage had been crumbling long before it happened. He regretted not being more present, not recognizing the warning signs, and taking our relationship for granted. His words didn't absolve me of my mistakes, but hearing that he no longer saw me as the villain in our story brought a sense of relief. He told me that he had forgiven me, not for my sake, but for his own peace. Carrying resentment had weighed him down, and letting go had allowed him to fully embrace his new life. It had taken years, but he had finally moved forward, and in a way, so had I. We parted on a quiet note of understanding. No grand reconciliation, no lingering feelings, just the acknowledgement that we had shared a chapter of our lives, and that chapter had ended. Today, I continue to run my business, which has grown beyond my expectations. I've started dating again, but I approach relationships with newfound awareness of what I truly need and value. I've learned that real happiness doesn't come from fleeting excitement or distractions, but from the quiet, steady work of building a life that brings fulfillment and peace.
The affair was the most painful mistake of my life, but it forced me to confront my flaws and grow in ways I never imagined. I am no longer the person I was 8 years ago, and for that, I am grateful. I've learned to be honest with myself, to take responsibility for my choices, and to strive for a better version of who I am. The past cannot be undone, and I will always carry the weight of my decisions, but as time passes, that weight becomes a little lighter. Through it all, I lost my marriage, but in the process, I found something even more valuable, myself. And sometimes, that's the hardest and most meaningful discovery of all.